I'm a survivor of the Tulsa Race Massacre. 2 weeks ago, I celebrated my 107th birthday.
That was Viola Ford Fletcher, one of two living survivors of the Tulsa Massacre of 1921. She died yesterday at the age of 111 years old, leaving only one living survivor. She experienced the events at the age of 7, where her family had to flee their home in the Greenwood district, taking only what they could carry with them, the rest being destroyed. The Tulsa Massacre followed a similar pattern to other race riots, like in Missouri, Atlanta, or the Red Summer of 1919, in that when a community of minorities started to threaten white supremacy, someone would cry violence over a contrived or speculative event, and then suddenly people would be met with violence, often destroying businesses and killing people in the process. In the case of Tulsa, it was when a 19-year-old shoe shiner may have touched the arm of a white elevator operator. This resulted in 2 days of violence that included gunfights, fires, and bombings, with an extent of damage that is currently unknown. According to the Oklahoma Department of Vital Statistics, 36 people died in the massacre. However, according to Walter Francis White, an investigator for the NAACP, at least 150 black people were killed, with as many as 200, and at least 50 white people were killed. He was also inadvertently deputized by the local police during the massacre, and he was told that he would be protected by the law if he shot any black person. In addition to this, over 800 black people were seriously injured by the mob violence, and over 10,000 black people were displaced, with their homes either being looted or destroyed by fires. In 1996, the Oklahoma state government approved a commission to start an investigation into the Tulsa Massacre. In 2001, they published their final report to the governor recommending 5 points of reparations, including direct payments of reparations to survivors, direct payments of reparations to descendants of survivors, a scholarship fund to students affected, establishment of an economic development enterprise zone in the Greenwood district, and a memorial for the reburial of human remains found in unmarked graves. In 2001, the state government passed the 1921 Tulsa Race Riot Reconciliation Act of 2001, rejecting past claims that it was a, quote, Negro uprising, end quote, admitting that city and county officials participated in the violence, establishing a memorial and a scholarship program for the descendants of the victims, giving an average of 8 scholarships per year of about $1,000 each. Despite the recommendations of the state commission, the state government would not grant direct reparations to survivors nor descendants of survivors of the Tulsa Massacre. Fletcher would then sue the city of Tulsa in 2020 for reparations, citing their complicity in the mob violence. The suit would later be dismissed in 2023. Unfortunately, Fletcher's death teaches us 2 valuable lessons in that 1, history is not nearly as old as we think it is, and also 2, that retribution is not guaranteed. Justice has to be fought for and earned, often in unfair conditions. On my first statement that history is not nearly as old as we think it is, my paternal grandfather, my dad's dad, was a teenager during the events of the Tulsa Massacre. No doubt, my life would be completely different if he was affected by it in any which way. I would not be here today. I would not have nearly as many opportunities if my dad's efforts to go to college was somehow undermined by mob violence. This is a great pet peeve of mine when people fail to see the generational effects of violence, especially towards minorities. It's incredibly frustrating to hear people say, why don't black people get it together? Why don't they build up their own communities? When they've been doing that for centuries. However, when they do that, repeatedly they are struck down by people trying to uphold white supremacy. And the Tulsa Race Massacre is probably the most blatant example of that. I mean, my father is older than the Civil Rights Act, so yes, generational trauma is a real thing. The effects of generational racism still permeate till today, and it is so incredibly irritating that people often see racism only from an interpersonal perspective. Regarding my second point about the grim lesson that justice is not guaranteed and it must be fought for, remember that Fletcher never received a fair amount of restitution for the events that changed her life forever. Not from the city of Tulsa, not from the state of Oklahoma, and certainly not from the country of the United States of America. Justice, restitution, retribution, those are not guaranteed. Things don't simply work themselves out. Making things right requires a great amount of effort and sacrifice. There is now one remaining living survivor of the Tulsa Massacre, Leslie Benningfield Randall, and she is also 111 years old.